Hi there, I'm Dave DeBow, and I'm a professional real estate investor who focuses on creative rent-to-own deals right here in Canada, and I'm also the author of this book, Rent-to-Own Profits for Canadians. Well, hi there, and today's question is, what are the different kinds of rent-to-own real estate investing? And there are three different kinds of rent-to-own that I'm familiar with. The first one is traditional rent-to-own. And what is traditional rent-to-own? That is where typically a landlord or an investor has a property that for one reason or another they want to sell, and perhaps they're having a hard time renting it out, or perhaps they're having a hard time selling it for full market value because the market's a little bit flat or something like that. So what they do is they sell it as a rent to own. So they start with the property, they offer it as a rent to own deal. They get a tenant or a client, as we call them, to come in, put up an option fee which applies towards their down payment, and then the client or the tenant is going to rent that house from them, usually at above market rents. So the landlord is getting more rent than they would otherwise, and the landlord is going to credit back a portion of that rent to the tenant so that they qualify for a mortgage over the period of the time. So what are the pros and cons of this? The pros are, if you're a landlord and you've got a property that's hard to move or hard to rent out, this is a way that you can sell it for full retail value without having to pay a real estate investor any commissions. Plus, it's a way to get above market rents while you're doing it. Okay, so that's definitely the pro for the landlord. What's the pro for the client or the tenant? Well, they're getting into a home that they're going to be able to own after 2 or 3 years that they wouldn't be able to do otherwise. All right, so that's a big thing, and they're getting help to be able to pay in their down payment in installments. So it's almost like a forced savings plan. What are the cons? Okay, from the landlord's point of view, not a lot of cons, except you're going to have to go through a lot of prospective tenants or clients, as we call them, before you find one that's going to fit your criteria, before you find one that you can really work with and make this successful with. The other con is that this isn't an instant sale. So if you want to sell your property, it's like a 2 or 3 year deal. Plus, another con is typically people that are coming into these kind of traditional rent-own deals, this may or may not be their dream house that they're getting into, so they may or may not be super keen. And compared to some other forms of rent-to-own, you're not going to be getting as much money up front as you would with other forms. So those are the cons. From the client's point of view, what are the cons? Well, again, they're going to have to kind of make do with this property. It might not be exactly the kind of property they want to get into, but they may not have very many other choices. So they may actually decide to give up the money that they paid and move on to something else if this doesn't really work out for them. So the success rate on traditional rent-to-own deals tends to be lower than some of the other options that we're going to be talking about. So that's what the first kind of rent-to-own real estate investing is. There's 2 more. The other one are sandwich leases, and the third one is my client-first rent-to-own method. Well, I hope you enjoyed that rent-to-own real estate investing tip. If you'd like to get 20 other tips just like that, then I'd invite you to visit my site, r2ovideotips.com. Talk to you next time.